When we think about education, we're almost always thinking about a kid's future, right? Better jobs, a better life. But what if? What if that investment actually paid off for their parents? It sounds kind of wild, but we're going to dive into this incredible study that found a super powerful and, honestly, pretty unexpected connection between a child's schooling and their parents' health. So let's just get right to it. The big question is, do kids with more education actually make their parents healthier? You'd think it's a simple yes or no, but it's so much cooler than that. The answer is this fascinating yes, but, and it comes with a twist that'll make you rethink how families even work. And here it is. This is the big twist at the very heart of the study. Get this. Parents whose kids had more schooling, they started using less routine care, like regular checkups at the doctor's office. But at the exact same time, they used more intensive care. We're talking hospital stays. How does that even make sense? Less and more at the same time? It's a total paradox. So what in the world is going on here? Well, to solve this mystery, we've got to look at where this research took place. Okay, so the secret sauce here, the thing that let researchers crack this puzzle, comes from this huge natural experiment that happened in China. A massive policy change gave them this perfect, almost laboratory-like setting to see what education really does, giving us a super clear window into its real-world impact. So, this whole thing centers on China's compulsory education law, which kicked off around 1986. The goal was huge, guaranteeing 9 years of free, basic education for every single kid. A massive undertaking. But for the scientists studying this, the real magic wasn't just the law itself, it was how they rolled it out. The genius of it was the timing. They didn't just flip a switch and have the law active everywhere at once. Nope, it was staggered. So, for example, Shanghai started with kids born in 1970, but way over in Tibet, it didn't kick in until kids born in 79. This created these perfect little comparison groups. It's a researcher's dream, because you can really isolate the effect of just the education. So let's see what happened to the parents. Okay, so because of this amazing setup, the study could get super precise. They could actually measure exactly how parents' healthcare habits changed for every extra year of school their kid got. And the results they found? Wow, they're incredibly specific. All right, let's get into the numbers. For every single extra year of their child's education, parents were 2.2% more likely to use inpatient care, so to be admitted to a hospital. Now, 2.2% might not sound like a giant number, but in public health, that's a really significant shift. It shows they were getting that more serious, more critical treatment when they really needed it. But remember the paradox? Here's the other side of that coin. Those same parents were 1.8% less likely to pop into the doctor's office for routine stuff. So this isn't just about using more healthcare across the board. No, they were getting smarter. They were making a strategic choice about the kind of care they needed. And it gets even more interesting. They also became 3.4% more likely to treat themselves at home, buying over-the-counter medicine from the pharmacy. This tells you that for the small stuff, they felt more confident handling it themselves. They were saving those doctor visits for when it really mattered. And that's not all. The data showed all these other positive changes. Parents were going to the dentist more, they were managing long-term problems like hypertension and heart disease better, and they were checking their blood pressure more often. It's a whole picture of smarter, more focused healthcare. So the big question is, why? What's causing all this? Well, the study boils it down to two main forces. The first reason, and this one is probably the most important, is just knowledge. Simple as that. The better educated kids were basically acting as health advocates for their parents, helping them navigate a really complex medical world. But hold on, that raises a question, right? If you have better information about your health, wouldn't you go to the doctor more often, not less? It seems totally backward. The key is understanding what kind of information they were missing before. And the answer is, there was a massive hidden information gap. I mean, just look at these numbers. For older adults, a shocking 84% of those with dyslipidemia, that's high cholesterol, had no idea they had it. The educated kids were the ones who helped their parents finally get diagnosed. And this explains that shift perfectly. You stop going for minor checkups and start getting the serious, specialized inpatient care you need for these newly discovered conditions. There's also a really powerful economic reason for this. Educated kids are just better at figuring out the bureaucracy of healthcare. In China's system, insurance covers almost half of a hospital bill, but only about a quarter of a regular doctor's visit. The children help their parents figure this out, guiding them towards the hospital, which was actually the more cost-effective choice for serious treatments. And really, this isn't just about saving money, it's about getting better care. The data shows a super clear pattern. Parents moved away from the small local clinics and started going to higher quality general and specialized hospitals. Their kids weren't just helping them with the bills, they were pointing them toward better doctors. But knowledge wasn't the only thing they were sharing. So the second major driver here is money. Plain and simple, financial support. Better education means better jobs, higher incomes, and that money flowed right back to the parents. And that removed one of the biggest roadblocks to getting good healthcare: the cost. The numbers on this are crystal clear. For each extra year of school a child got, the amount of money they gave back to their parents went up by an average of 436 yuan every year. That is a direct, measurable transfer of wealth from the younger generation back to the older one. And that money made a huge difference in their parents' lives. It led to a 17.3% jump in the parents' overall household spending. I mean, that's not a small bump. That's a life-changing improvement. It gives them the freedom to actually afford the better medical care they now know they need. As the researchers themselves said, this extra money is what makes the knowledge powerful. You can know you need to go to a top-tier hospital, but if you can't pay for it, what good is that knowledge? It's the 1-2 punch of better information and more financial resources that really change things for these parents. So when you step back and look at the whole picture, what does this all mean? When you put these pieces together, the transfer of knowledge and the financial support, you start to see this incredible ripple effect that really changes how we ought to think about the value of education. The main takeaway here is really profound. The return on education isn't just about one person, it's about the whole family. It's an investment that flows upward. This means that educating a child is also, in a very real, very measurable way, a public health investment for their parents, too. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. If a kid's education has this direct, powerful impact on their parents' health, an effect we literally wouldn't have known about without a study like this, what other invisible, intergenerational benefits of education are we still missing?